How you doing? It's Ty here with iLuvBball. All right, talking with Zach Cummings. Hopefully I said that right.
Yeah, Zach Cummings.
Okay,
yep.
okay. You know, it's hard. Some names are hard to pronounce. Okay, so very interesting. A Long Island player, Southampton. Graduated in 2015, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Long Island Beat Championship.
Yep.
Traveled around, couple junior, JUCO.
Yeah. I went all over the country, 5 schools. I'm at my 5th stop right now.
Okay, Old Westbury, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
One more year?
Yes, sir.
Because of COVID?
No. Well, I didn't play my COVID year, obviously, because a lot of Division IIs, Division IIIs didn't play. But with or without COVID, I still have 2 more semesters left of eligibility.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
a lot of basketball left still. Okay, great. I got some questions. A couple of questions people may want to ask, and some questions for myself want to ask. People. And the first one is, everyone has a story and a journey to tell. Was there a specific moment in a time, situation, result, or setback that made you say, hey, I want to do this. I want to put my story out there or collectively get other stories out there?
Yeah, so from the age of 12, I've always kind of looked at my life as a journey, right? My mom passed away when I was 12 years old. So from that point on, it kind of made me grow up super early, and I had to become a man, right, at 12, 13 years old. So from that point on, I always had something that motivated me and kind of just lit a fire under me to something to, strive for, right, to make her proud. So obviously basketball was my favorite sport, and it was actually her favorite sport watching me play as well. So I kind of fell in love with the game, and I just used basketball as a tool because it's taken me all over the country. I met people that I would have never met. I have, been to places, states, played against some of the best players in the country, you name it. Like basketball has been, a savior for me, if you want to call it that. But the reason I started the journey and the platform that I have on the podcast is when I was in Texas, I was at Howard College in Big Spring in West Texas, Division I junior college. Jay Crowder went there before Marquette. And I had a rough year with injuries. The 3rd day I broke my wrist. 9 games in, I got back to the starting lineup, microfracture in my right knee, done for the year. And the year prior to that, I tore my deltoid ligament in my right ankle, out for the season. So now we're looking at like 700 days, and I've only played 9 games of the thing that I love. Wow. So I was in bed. I don't like to use the term depressed, right? Because I didn't get diagnosed, right? But I was definitely down. I was at my lowest point. I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. One, because I couldn't walk. And then I'm in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And I came across podcasts, like a visual podcast. I never knew that was really a thing, right? You'd always see the Apple, Spotify, stuff like that. And I never listened to it, right? My mind wasn't open to it. But once I saw a visual podcast, I was like, yo, this is dope. I feel like I should start something like this, and I know I can. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from, and I was like, I want to create a platform because my life has obviously been a journey through all the schools, tragedy, injuries, you name it. And then I wanted to have a platform for others to share theirs as well, because a lot of celebrities, obviously everyone knows their stories.
Yes.
But a lot of guys in Long Island that are, have accomplished, great things, they don't have a platform to share that. So that's really why I started it.
Okay, great. I like that analogy because I myself, it's like life through sports. Sports is a great guideline. It opens up so many opportunities. You wouldn't believe that you would be in front of you, if you didn't have that as a guideline or a driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, basketball translates to real life. All the lessons you learn,
exactly.
All the life lessons, everything. You'll be put in certain situations. You understand how to handle pressure. You understand how to be a people person, deal with different personalities. Yeah. So it's definitely a life tool that you can carry with you throughout the rest of your life.
I agree 100%. Now, with your podcast, since you started your podcast, and through your own experience, has there been any stories that came to you out of the ordinary? Wow, that's different.
Yeah, there was 2 that I really had no idea about while bringing the guests on. The first one was a kid I went to high school with, played baseball with him growing up when we were younger, and he ended up, he had cancer. Oh. And I didn't even know, we graduated high school, and I never really we kind of fell out of touch, right? It's high school friends, whatever. And yeah, he had cancer, and he ended up beating it. And he's a professional bodybuilder now. So that was
Wow.
that was one that really stuck with me, just because I understand the trauma of cancer. Because like I watched my mom go through it. You know, I watched my mom go from a healthy human being to like I couldn't even recognize her anymore. She couldn't even speak. So I understand what chemotherapy and, you know, so that really like hit home to me just listening to his story, especially someone so young. You know, I couldn't imagine like having to go through it, and, you know, I only had to watch someone go through it.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I'm sorry. And at the same time, it helps you fuel to the fire to help you, you know, unfortunate situations sometimes give you more fire.
Yeah.
And now, to piggyback on that, the other flip side of it, are there stories where, like that, where you say, you know what, I want to personally try to help this person?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you were saying, with unfortunate situations, you know, so I look at it as life is so hard, right? You know, there's so many things you go through, but losing my mom at 12, that was the worst thing that I could go through up until this point in my life.
Can't imagine.
So everything else, that injuries, BS, you know what I mean, flat tire, you name it, it's all minuscule, you know what I mean? Like, I got through the worst. So like this, I kind of brush aside. So to take a positive from a negative, that's how I look at life. But yeah, there was definitely some people that I've had on that they needed that platform to hear themselves speak. So they didn't even understand, because once you get into that setting, right, a podcast setting is very intimate. So nowadays, everyone's on their phone. Most people can't even have a conversation without checking their phone. Podcast, it's all the way, right? It's just you and one other person talking. It's very intimate. So you kind of get into this flow state where you're just talking and like your true emotions come out. So I feel like I've had a lot of people that have learned a lot about themselves after hearing themselves speak, and like after, it's like almost like a sigh of relief. It's almost like therapy, where they're just like, wow, like, you know. And some people like looked at themselves even differently, and they were proud of themselves for sharing their story, because a lot of people are their, you know, toughest critic, and they don't give themselves enough credit for everything that they've done.
Yeah, you're hard on yourself. Yeah. You can self-sabotage with being so hard on yourself as well. Yeah. But through trials and tribulations, was there a point in your journey where you said, you know, hey, I had enough of this ride, and you just, you know, you just wanted to park the car and just say, you know what, that's enough of this, you know, this avenue with basketball, etc. Yeah,
absolutely. It's crazy because I actually told this story yesterday. It's, you know, I don't know, I kind of believe in the whole quantum, all that stuff, like the energy, and when you speak about something, things come up, right? So I literally told this story yesterday.
Okay.
And yeah, there was a time when I was probably 18 or 19, and I wanted to quit basketball. I just kept getting hurt. I felt like all the hard work I was putting in wasn't, you know, nothing was coming out of it. And a friend of mine that passed away in a car accident in 2019, he wasn't a basketball guy, but he was just a guy that always motivated me. And, you know, he like sent me this essay, and like, I wish I still had the messages, and like, he cursed me out, like saying like, stop acting like that. Like, you're doing this for your mom, make Amy proud. And it kind of, you know, it just woke me up, and I'm like, what am I doing quitting, you know? So that's what really was a turning point for me at 17. I forgot, I had to be 17, 18, going into my senior year or whatever. And, you know, someone like that didn't even play basketball, wasn't even really an athlete like that, but he saw the potential in me and knew what I was capable of. So he kept that, you know, that fire under me. And, you know, one thing I look at in life is a lot of people don't get to where they're going, not because of lack of skill or, you know, talent or creativity. It's the lack of ability to keep going when things get hard. So that's one thing that I've tried to take with me, where it's like, you're going through all these things for a reason, and you need to understand that, because if you want to get to where you're going, these things are necessary.
Most definitely. They're critical, crucial elements to life, and it's building blocks. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing how you can watch someone and you can judge them from the outside, not knowing what they're going through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I see a lot of the NBA players, and people will say, how come they react to a negative comment opposed to all the love? Because sometimes, like just like tough love or a tough coach, sometimes it gets through everything and hits that one nerve, and there could be a little bit of truth to it to say, you know what, I have to address this either with myself, with, you know, what I do with the game, or, you know what, I have to be more verbal and speak up, because just like we're doing now, people want to know. People, you know, you read in a magazine, you can speculate what people are about. But I think this is great, you telling your story, because people know Zach Cummings, know what you've been through, and you get a much more of a love, you know, appreciation of the game. Yeah, it makes people,
you know, like this setting, it's like a little more vulnerable, right? And it makes people like really know the real you, you know, and then they can kind of,
you're human.
They see, you know what I mean? Because everyone knows everyone through Instagram, social media, and obviously that's a highlight reel. So everyone just posts what they want other people to see. So this is more of a, you know, a relatable and, I don't know, I guess it's, like intimate setting, like I was saying earlier. So it's just like, it's something where people can really kind of see where you're at and like put themselves in your shoes.
Exactly. I think you can let your unbutton your collar when you let people in just a little bit, you know, because it's a relief. Like, you know, I'm human. You know, I got emotions. I go through everything like everyone else, but yet my grind is hard because I have a discipline of morals and standards that basketball just provides for you to prevail. You know what I'm saying? Through everything. That's great. So since you started the podcast, how's the reception been? You know, has it been what you expected or unexpected? Like, you know.
So when I first started it, right, like just getting my feet wet, I have no idea what I'm really doing. You know, my first guest was Femi Olajobi.
iLuvBball, right?
Okay,
from Brentwood.
Yep. Okay. So that was my first guest. You know, I had him, then I had Arella Garantes, who played in WNBA, and then, you know, and then I went on a list of guests, right? But when I first started, I'm like, yo, like this thing's gonna take off, whatever. I have no idea about production. I have no idea about cameras, audio, editing, none of it. I'm just like, yo, I just wanna do it. But then you understand how much more comes into it and how hard it is to organically build a platform without a name behind it. So a lot of athletes you see that obviously in the NBA, NFL, celebrities, you name it, YouTube guys, they already have a platform with people who genuinely like them. So when they start a podcast, their entire following comes and watches. You know? So I did it backwards. Like, sure, I have a name in Long Island, but that doesn't really ring bells nationally or globally. So what you have to do, you know, now I'm trying to build a podcast organically from the ground up without real backing behind it. So that was tough, right? And I would post, and, you know, when you first start, everyone shows you love. Whenever you first, you know, you get a scholarship offer, you commit, everyone shows you love. And then, you know, you go there and you don't play the first 3 games. I knew he wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Exactly. You know, everyone kind of falls off. But like I was saying earlier, when things get tough, like, you got to keep going. So I did 15 episodes season 1, and I really didn't grow that much. Some episodes did better than others. But when I came back, I started season 2 after 15 episodes, and I started realizing I need to utilize social media. I need to utilize TikTok, Shorts, Instagram, Reels, because a lot of people nowadays don't have the attention span to sit through an hour-long podcast. They just want a quick hit, a 30-second reminder of like some advice or, you know, something entertaining. So once I started doing that, in the past 2 months, I've probably reached well over 200, 300,000 accounts on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Multiple have had, you know, 10, 15,000 views. And sure, that's, you know, low scale for the magnitude of what a podcast can bring on those platforms. But for me, starting up from the ground up, like, I'm really starting to see growth. And I've kind of found the formula to posting 2 to 3 times a day on all the shorter platforms, and then once a week on YouTube. So I personally, like, one of my prediction and my goal, like, I want to hit 50,000 followers on TikTok by December. And I think I can do it.
That's good. You got to have a goal. Got to have a drive. That's good. Now, speaking with the names, I'm familiar with Femi Olajobi. You know, I actually went to school with his dad.
Wow.
My oldest son, he played for Bayshore, so he was in that era. So going to that, how do you go about selection of stories? Do you know, do they come to you, or do you reach out to say, hey, you're an interesting guy. I want to put this out there, you know?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll post, you know, sometimes I'll be like, hey, like looking for a guest if I can't find one. But I kind of just try to network, talk to people. Obviously, basketball has created a pretty large network for me in New York. And it helps me reach people, right? Because like people know who I am, right? People are pretty familiar with the podcast now, that at least that I do it. They may not watch, but they understand like it's a thing. So some people, a lot of people, they want to be heard. You know, a lot of people want to tell their stories. So I do get a lot of people that reach out to me, and like some, like nothing personal, but like for me, it may not fit the criteria. I could be totally wrong, but like from what I know, like what you've been through, I don't know. I try to get people that have had a journey, right? Like that I know for sure that it's gonna hit people. People that watch are gonna gain something from it. I'm gonna learn something from it, and you know, at the end of the day, like we both collectively gain something from the episode, whether it be your own personal brand from your clips, and then also having that platform to share your story and let yourself be heard. So I really just try to get people that I know have really been through the ringer.
Okay.
And I want them to show that side, like you said, like unbutton their, you know what I mean, their collar, like really show that vulnerable side. Especially as men, you know, we're always taught to get up, shake it off, like you'll be fine. Yeah. But you live that life all the time, bro, eventually you're gonna crack. Like it's gonna weigh down on you so much to the point where like you're not gonna be able to take it anymore. Sometimes you just need 35-40 minutes just to talk one-on-one, or you know, with two guys, and just like let it out, because you'll feel so much better after that. So that's really what I look for, just like interesting guests. I don't care what you've accomplished. I want someone that's like gone through it and like it's either got out or trying to get out.
Okay, that's great. Now, being a Long Island native yourself, and you know, I'm sure you came across that nobody knows Long Island players unless you're in the city, or you got to play in the city and everything. Do you feel like you may be biased to maybe reach out to more Long Island kids who are going through it, just, you know, because you've been there and you know how with such like a best kept secret, there's so many Long Island players who've made it that people don't realize they're actually from Long Island, and Long Island is actually part of New York. Yeah. You know, so are you, you know, do you gravitate more to a Long Island player, or is there a bias there? So my reach is a little easier to grab guys from Long Island. So like I said, like I know guys from Long Island. So like it's nothing, like I either have your number or I got you on Instagram, like, and like you'll answer. But I have had guys, like I've had Ryan Murphy, who played at Charlotte, New Mexico Junior College, and then finished up at Pitt and Duquesne. So he would work out with Drew Holiday at Mamba Academy and Steph Curry in the summers. So like I've had guys like that, but also it's like location based, right? Like we're not flying out doing stuff like that. So it's a little tough right now. So we've done it on Zoom that way. I've had a kid, Tyler Osick, I grew up playing baseball with. He plays for the White Sox. So yes, sure, there is like a little bias towards Long Island, but that's the whole point of it. You know what I mean? I want people to understand like what Long Island is about and how much talent is here, because you go other places and it's like, if you're not from New York City, or even people in New York City don't respect Long Island as much as they should, because like there's hoopers here, right? There's people that go through it just as much. And sure, like, you know, people have, you know, nice yards or whatever it may be. There's grass and trees. It doesn't mean that like people aren't going through it every single day and like really had to grind and go through struggles. So yeah, like Long Island, I think it's like a great place for me to, you know, share these stories. And I know a lot of the people I went to schools with, you know, in Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Virgin Islands, that follow me and watch me, they listen to these stories and they like hit me up like, yo, I love what you're doing, bro. And, you know, and these guys are from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Memphis, Dallas, you know, all over the South, Birmingham. So it's it's definitely cool. And then, you know, I want to eventually hopefully be, you know, one of the biggest podcasts on Long Island, and the platform for people to come on and share from Long Island. That's which is great, which I've seen, you know, with my older son, and I've been, you know, following basketball for quite some time, is there was at a point in time where he said, trainer, what's a trainer? Who needs a trainer? Nowadays, I think you know, there's trainers all around. A father's a trainer. You go in the backyard. And so the game of basketball on Long Island has grown so much, but yet so not respected, you know, still. Absolutely. And I've seen players come from the city to come out to Long Island to train. Now that's a great transition, but no one, knows about that. So what I mean is I'm grateful for you to have a platform like this where people understand, and Long Island are roots to a lot of great players.
Yeah,
a lot of great players.
Absolutely, yeah. Long Island, obviously it made me as a basketball player. This court that we're on right now, like this is where I grew up playing.
Really?
Yeah, like I didn't play much AAU coming up. I didn't play really anything organized. I grew up playing at the park. Like all the dudes from the neighborhood over here, like this is where I came every single day after school. And like this made me tough. You know what I mean? Like I'm the only dude out like every single day. We're shoveling this court. We're bringing rakes after the hurricane, raking off the leaves. Like this court literally like made me who I am. So it's like there is courts, all over Long Island, parks and stuff like that kind of breed these players. And obviously they flourish into the organized basketball system. And then that's when they get into the right hands. And then those are the guys that go Division I, Division II, playing professionally, So Long Island, over the years, the overall level of competition, has it died down a little bit? I personally think so. From when I was in high school and like the couple years before me, there was just like Long Island was loaded, in 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16. But I believe there is guys now, like there's so many like guys like, you could have 7, 8 guys that are Division I guys from Long Island that may not get the exposure just because it's Long Island. Long Island has this stigma and this stereotype that like, we really don't have quote unquote guys. Yeah,
understood. Yes, that's a sad story for a lot of people who don't get the opportunity, because that's what it's all about, opportunity. Yeah. So I see also as well, you have college training, development and training. So that's a good thing. Now, I want to piggyback on what advice you can have, for an athlete coming up now and what to expect through the journey. Do you also provide a mentorship when you do the training? And because some people just train and give me your money, and you provide a mentorship and a guidance as well. So
absolutely.
Explain a little bit what you do with that.
Yeah, so to start, like college ready training, I really started like 2 months ago. I've trained my whole life. I've always trained guys. All my friends like, yo, just follow me through my workout, right? And I've always had a knack for like knowing what to do and how to develop. But about 2 months ago, I was working like power washing company with my friend. I'm on a roof on like $1 million house, looking out into the water, freezing, got bleach all over me. And like, I'm sitting on this roof, just looking out to the water. I'm like, what am I doing? I was like, I'm miserable right now. Like for $180, like this is not worth it. Like I'd rather make less money and do what I love than do this, right? Just to have a couple extra dollars in my pocket. So that night I went to Nick's house, who's right there. And we made the logo. I was like, yo, I'm starting my training business because like I can provide too much value in the basketball world to not do something with it. So like you said, the mentorship is like a huge part because I had great guys when I was 17, 18, 19 that were, 25, 26, that went through college, that kind of brought me along with them and like told me what to do, what not to do. Like shout out to a few guys like Nick Carter, Lance Furtado, Josh Marshall, Kevin Spann. So like these guys kind of like showed me the way, right? And one of my coaches from junior college, Coach Brandon Espinosa, he runs Drive Nation EYBL with Jermaine O'Neal. So like those are some of the minds that were young when I was 19, 20 that I really learned so much from. So I'm trying to pass that knowledge down to the next generation. And obviously with the training, like the skill part, the player development, working on your game, like that's the easy part for me. Like that comes like nothing. But it's the 5-minute talk when the kid misses 10 shots in a row and his head is down, that like I have to talk to him like you can't do this. You know what I mean? Like you need support. Like basketball is so much mental, and a lot of kids lack that now. Like, and I coach for boys to men, so I coach AAU 16U, and I see it, and it's not so much the skill, it's just the mental aspect of it, and the confidence and the lack of, and I guess you can't blame them. I'm not blaming the people that had their hands on them prior, but like a lot of these kids, like they just don't understand basketball and what really comes with it and what it actually takes. Because I ask guys, like, do you want to be a scholarship level guy? Everyone raised their hand. And then I'm like, do you work out 5 times a day? Like, are you sleeping, eating, breathing basketball? Are you going home and watching film? Are you, you know, working on your handle at night, waking up? Like, I used to come here with a plastic bag on a ball, like working on my handle because I heard Baron Davis and Gilbert Arenas used to do
Inspiration.
it. You know, like I'd ride my bike here. I would, you know, do whatever I could to work out. Like when I would get a gym, like that would be like sacred time. Like I would not miss it for anything.
Of course, it's hard to come by. You know, gyms are hard to come by out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So like, I try to give them that insight where it's just like, yo, like you have to love this thing. Like you really have to treat this like it's your life. If you want to be great, like if you don't, that's okay. Also, it's not for everyone. But I'm a huge believer in accountability. So I really don't like when people tell me one thing and then I give them what they need and then they don't do it. That bothers me. Where
Just
it's
had
like
a conversation about that today myself. Yes.
You know, so like that really bothers me. Like accountability is huge in basketball. So they don't understand what actually goes into this thing if you want to be a scholarship level guy or even play at the college level because it is a lifestyle.
It's very serious, and I can tell you, I had my own journey with my own son and I see the trials and tribulations, and it breaks families up. It breaks your pride, breaks momentum sometimes. And so when you have someone who can give you mentorship and just be there, someone to talk to, I mean, it's the world. You know, it's the world because let's be honest, our parents always mean well, our loved ones, our close friends, but it's always someone outside of your circle that may say the same exact thing your parents said, but you know what? It hit home coming, you know what I'm saying, coming from here.
Yes, it finally clicks,
Yes, and that's important. Now go back, I want to shout out to our Boys to Men because that's a great program, and I'm glad to hear that. Shout out to Coach Kareem.
Yeah, absolutely.
My son played 2 years with Boys to Men in his senior and junior year, and it done wonders for him. It's a great program on Long Island that, I mean, you get it all. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing bad I could say. I have so many great things to say about the people, the personnel. So I'm happy to hear someone like you. They got a jewel, and you came into such a blessing as well.
Yeah, no, I've learned so much. You know, it's cool being on the other end of it. You know, being on the sidelines and you know, and I see the game so much differently now, just watching and like seeing stuff. But yeah, like I said, I just try to pass down like my own insight and like my own knowledge of the game, and then everything I've learned from my mentors and my other coaches, and just kind of make it my own way, make it fun, but make it, you know, like, you know, disciplined and a learning curve, like all these things, you know, because basketball is so much more than just everything in between these lines. It's a lot off the court, and it's a lot, like I said, mental.
Okay, that's a great analogy. I want to ask you, sometimes this could be a little personal to people, and they may not want to talk about it, but I mean, sometimes you got to put things in perspective and be realistic. You're still on the grind. You're still balling. Yeah. Everyone has aspirations. I'm sure you have D1 aspirations, pro aspirations, NBA aspirations, all of that. Is there something at one point, do you feel, if I could have did this could have made a difference? If I would have did that, because as players, we all figure that one thing could have been the make or break. But is there a bigger picture to this that most athletes don't understand?
Yeah,
it's tough.
So pretty much, right, we all had Division I dreams, right? Like I did, you know, and I was a guy that I felt I could do it, you know, and that's why I went the junior college route. That's why I went the post-grad route. But a 19, 20-year-old trying to do that, it's a lot different from me at 25 now. Now I'm playing Division III, and that's what I try to instill in a lot of these guys, where like, don't get so caught up in the level and get so caught up in everything that comes with it, right? Like, you can go Division I and you can ride the bench for 4 years and you'll hate basketball. Or you can go to a level where you're a big fish in a little pond and you can thrive and you can really do it. So when I tried to tell that to guys, I empathized with them because I was there. I was a 19-year-old kid that told guys, I ain't going D2, I'm not going D3. Like, I'm gonna go JUCO, I'm doing whatever it takes to go Division I. But now at 25, I realize, like, it's not for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand your fit. You have to understand where you will be successful, not what other people think is successful. So that's just one thing that like really stuck with me. But I don't know, I wouldn't trade my journey and my story for anything, because literally, like I would not be sitting here today with you if I didn't go through everything I went through. Like the Journey podcast would have never started. The people I've met, none of that would have happened unless I went through every single thing. And you don't really understand it when you're going through it. But looking back in hindsight, right, like I can look back 3-4 years and be like, oh, this was for a reason, right? Like, you know, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, you know, whatever it may be, like things are necessary. Like that builds you, like those it builds calluses. Like that's what makes you who you are, and, you know, turns you into the person I believe you're supposed to be. Maybe if I would have stayed at my the second junior college I went to, if I would have did 2 years there, maybe I would have had a legit shot at Division I. Yeah. I was texting Prairie View A&M, Northwestern State, a few Division I's in the Texas, Louisiana area. I had a good freshman year in Region 14. But, you know, like I left, I bounced around, University of Virgin Islands, I went back, JUCO, this whole thing. But like I said, I don't think I would trade my story for anything, or, you know, my journey, because I think I'm exactly where I need to be.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You know, a lot of what you said too is a lot of parents don't understand. I'm just going to use the word promotion. It's so much promoting, and like you said, the email and keeping in contact that people can lose track. Yeah. Now, skill set, athleticism, talent, you know, that's all part of basketball. That's why you help train, you develop. From your story, how much do the measurables matter as far as height, you know, speed, you know, God-given talent? Because there's always a saying that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. But I've seen a lot of situations where I've seen a kid bust his tail and work very hard, but this kid jumps out the gym. You understand? So what do you think about that? Has that played a big part in your journey?
Yeah, no, that plays a huge part. Like you said, like everyone says that saying, like you can say whatever you want, but like size, athleticism, length, like all that plays a role in basketball, whether you like it or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so at least in my journey, sure, it has played a role. Like I'm a 6'1", semi-athletic white dude, right? So there's a stereotype that comes with that. So like if I were to play at like a high level, right, like I need to be a fit. So there's certain guys like on a small, like say smaller guys, less athletic, you know, 6'1" and under, like you have a place to play, but it's not everywhere. Some coaches like to recruit a 6'4" super athletic point guard that might not be as smart as you on the court, might not be as fundamentally sound, but he gonna guard 94 feet, he gonna score in transition, and he's gonna be able to defend, you know, and really like get in passing lanes just because of his God-given abilities. While you, on the other hand, 6 foot, maybe a little smaller, you're a better shooter, you have a better handle, but you can't physically do what he does. And that doesn't mean that he's better than you. He's just a better fit for that team. So that's what I've learned. Like, depending on the levels where I've played, like my role has changed drastically. Like when I was at Division I junior college playing against the best players in all of junior college, Texas is like the highest level of junior college. Big time. We played, the year I was there, we had 45 guys go Division I from one conference, which was the most in the country. I'm talking Baylor, Texas Tech, LSU, Utah, Maryland, like guys from all over. So when I played at that level, I was a fundamentally sound point guard. Don't turn it over, take charges, knock down your open shots, hit your floaters, you know, like a hustle guy, like a TJ McConnell, Steve Blake, Tyus Jones, those type of guys. Now I'm at the Division III level. Now I'm a bigger fish in a smaller pond. I was top 5 in the country in 5 offensive categories, averaging 20. I led the country, you know, led the conference in 3-pointers, threes made, free throw percentage, you name it. So it's like I'm asked to do different things at different levels. So that's what guys have to understand. It's like, it's not that size and all this, like sure, it might limit you a little bit on the court, but there's a place for you at your size and your abilities, you know, your God-given abilities to do exactly what you do. But it's all fit. Basketball is all fit. The levels are so different. So different. Yeah,
and that's true. Now, as far as fit, do you feel opportunity is just as luck of the draw, opportunity, right place, right time?
A little bit. Like, if you can play, you can play. Like, guys will see you. You know what I mean? Like, if you can really hoop, you'll get noticed, right? But sure, a lot of it's potential based. Like, if a coach saw you play one time and you're a little undersized and you was missing your shots, they might just pass up on you and then they see a guy 6'4" dunking on fast breaks, really getting up on the rim, you know, or even like a 6'7", 6'8" wing, right? Like, they might just take a shot on that guy just based off his mere potential rather than skill set, because they know they can develop him. And like, your ceiling could be a little lower at, you know, 6 foot, 170 pounds, a little less athletic. So that's really all it comes down to.
Okay. So now, Zach Cummings, knowing the measurables and, you know, the chips could be stacked against you, your ultimate goal, dream, desire, pro, correct? Or
Possibly. Yeah.
How far you want to take this?
So I want to take it as far as it allows me, right? And but I'm understanding of like what goes into it. Like, if you want to play professional basketball, so I'm gonna go back for my senior season. I should score my 1,000th point this year. You know, staying healthy. My goal is to win Player of the Year, first team All Conference, like get to the playoffs, like all that, right? But I understand, like, coming from Division III, it's so hard to go pro. Like, you really need to know the right people, be in the right place at the right time. You know, stay healthy. All these things come in as, you know, as factors. But I know I was put here on this earth to do something with basketball. And your dreams aren't always, you know, when they come true, they're not always what you dreamed of. So I always thought, like, I want to go to the NBA, I want to go pro, like, I want to do this. But now where I'm at, I'm like, hey, like, if an opportunity presents itself, I will go play for 1 year, wherever, you know, like, just to experience it, live in a different country, play professionally. I don't care. I'll make a little bit of money just to do it. Like, all this was worth it. Like, I played professional, right? But I think I'm going to use basketball as a tool, because I think I provide more value from the mentorship and the player development and the teaching standpoint and coaching than a player. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of guys. But I know that, like, I can take basketball a lot farther on that end than I can playing. So, I mean, my goal, like, I want to, like, eventually be like an NBA guy, like an NBA trainer, right? Like a player development guy for, you know, the Nets, the Knicks, wherever it may be. Like, coach on an EYBL circuit, coach Division I college, like, wherever basketball takes me, like, that's where I want to go. If playing is an option and it makes sense, of course, I would love to keep playing. Yeah. But I have no problem hanging them up and then still being involved in the game.
Yeah, that's actually great. And you answered one of my next questions, which I'm going to still pose a question anyway, but I said earlier, life through sports. You know, life through sports. Like, you never know where it's going to take you, and you knowing the measurables and the journey and everything. You're in the game now, and you had quite an experience. And my question was, what is your driver? And you just answered it. It's a bigger picture than just going pro. Yeah. It's what you want to give back. It's what you want to do to help upcoming athletes. And yeah, you answered the next question, which was great. I like that. That's less questions that we spend time on. Now, this next one is kind of critical too, because there's a lot of kids say offers. You know, whether it's Division I, Division II, JUCO, whatever it is. You know, offers. It's great because that means you got something. You know, so. 1 offers, 5 offers. It's really hard for an athlete to understand what a coach may want from them or where the program is going and what is your real value, because you can be a high commodity where you was, and a coach you can be a great shooter, point guard, but that coach may say, hey, you know what? I want to use him as a setup shooter. I'll bring him in certain plays. Do you feel coaches kind of let players know this? And, have you experienced anything where you came in and just wasn't what you thought? Not to bash any coaches, but, I hear a lot of the terminology, selling dreams and making the best decision for yourself and for your family. So, have you came across that? And what is some advice that you would give someone trying to make a decision? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, coaching, like being a coach and recruiting is competition, right? So a lot of coaches, from my experience being recruited and like knowing, a lot of friends that went through it, like coaches will do whatever it takes to get you there. But like when you get there, it may not always be what they said it was going to be. But a lot of kids in that moment, right, at 18, 19, 20, when they come in, right, they always think it's someone else. A lot of guys like to point the finger. It's coach, it's this guy, it's this. But if you were really doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing and doing what the coach asked and playing your tail off and playing hard and not turning it over and knocking down shots, like you'll play. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I looked at it. Cause like I've been in a lot of those situations where I tried to point the finger at a coach and I tried to play the blame game. But looking back now, like I wasn't ready to play. I was a freshman, 18, 19-year-old kid. I have no idea what college basketball is about. I don't understand how to win. And I think a lot of guys struggle with that. Now, is there some scenarios, like you said, where you go there and a coach really just screws a guy over? Absolutely. Or there spots like I was in where like a coach recruits you and then they leave, new coach comes in and they don't even give you a fair shot? Absolutely. There are those situations. So everyone's situation is a little different, but that's the main thing, though, the first thing I said, where it's like, if you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing and you're a player, like, you'll play. Because, like, the coach at the end of the day, he's trying to win games to keep his job.
Exactly.
So if you're not helping him win games to keep his job, why are you out there? You know, like, why would he not play a guy that's going to help him win? Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it, because I've been on both sides of it. You know, I've tried to blame the coach. And at 19, it made me feel better. It held my ego.
Of course.
But at 25, looking back, I was like, I was soft. I wasn't playing hard. I was turning it over. I wasn't playing with confidence.
Okay.
You know, so I think that would be advice for a lot of younger guys. Like, just embrace the moment and like take everything with it. You know, and don't always listen to how the coach is saying. Listen to how he's saying it. Listen to what he's saying. Like, take a little piece of it, right? And never react immediately to a coach. If they say something to you, take it, let it process for a little while. After practice, even the next day, if you still have a problem with it, then, yo, coach, can I talk to you about what happened yesterday? Because a lot of times, a lot of kids, like, you want to just fire back immediately when a guy, like, takes a shot at you, right? Like, it hurts your ego.
Yeah.
But you're probably in the wrong. Like, if you was doing your job, the coach probably wouldn't have yelled at you for that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so like that's really kind of how I look at like the college thing and just developing as a player. Like, you can listen to me, you know, listen to whoever, but the only way you're going to know it is going through it. Experience is the best teacher. So
experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always the best teacher.
Yeah.
Now I have one last question, but I'm going to put that to the side just for a minute. This is a really great answers you're giving me. It's really good insight of what an athlete today, even, you know, your generation to the next generation. It's really good to understand that there's a process in this. It's a grind, it's patience, and like you said before, man, sometimes this is God-given. It's that choices you make, how much you want to work. But so now the podcast. I want to know how what are your times? When do you air?
So I try to drop once a week.
Okay.
So I'll either drop on a Friday afternoon at noon, or Monday at 12. So always 12 p.m. Friday or Monday. Try to drop once a week. And then throughout the week, I'll post all the clips to kind of get you, you know, anticipate the episode, you know, build it up a little bit. So I post on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, all throughout the week. Pretty much random, you know, all times, either in the morning or at night. And then, you know, the Journey podcast drops on, I have an episode dropping tomorrow at 12 with Erica Russell, who's North Babylon native. She played at LIU Brooklyn, Western Carolina, LIU Brooklyn, University of Charleston, and then back to LIU Brooklyn. She just signed a contract in Portugal. So that's the episode that comes out tomorrow, Friday. And she had a crazy journey, you know, with basketball, mental health, you name it. So that's really the schedule I stay on, either Fridays at 12, Monday at 12, and try to just post once a week and just try to stay consistent. And it's streaming on all platforms, you know, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, you name it.
Yes, because that's a great title. It speaks for itself. I just want to, you know, like, you know, listeners, sometimes you want to know how do you get in touch? How would you get to air in and listen, you know? The other thing is training. What are your days of training?
So 7 days a week. So College Ready Training, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, just at College Ready Training. You can send me a DM. You can hit me up on my personal page at ZTC6. And yeah, just try to book your times. I train out of a facility called the Cube, which is located in Hauppauge, right on Motor Parkway in Long Island. So it's a great facility. They offer shooting machine memberships. They have a weight room, Vertimax, and I train there, and as well as Severio Ford and Gianni Ford are the guys that run the gym. Gianni played at Boys and Girls Club. He played Division I, St. Francis. We actually played against each other in college. He was at Blinn when I was at Bossier in the Texas Conference. So yeah, so I train out of there, and then some LA fitness locations. I have access to all the LAs. So yeah, whenever. I trained a kid this morning, 5 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
Right?
Yeah, and then I got a few more clients tonight. So yeah, whenever. Like, this is what I love to do. So I'm always around the game, and I'm always available.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you kind of answered my last question, but I'm going to pose this last question. Through everything you've been through what you know, has the love of the game ever faded for you?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was hurt in Texas, I couldn't play basketball for a year. And then that was the year. So I got hurt in December, day after Christmas. And then that was 2019 going into 2020. Then COVID hit. So I couldn't play basketball for almost a whole year. I maybe touched the basketball 3 times that whole summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't want anything to do with it because it's been my entire life since I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and it's just consumed me. And like, it was so good to just get away from it. I had fun. I went out. Like, I just didn't play basketball. I didn't even think about it. I lifted weights. I was working out in the sun because we didn't have no gyms. And I just stayed away from basketball. And then, as it started getting a little colder, and I'm like, all right, like, I got to get back to school. That itch came back. And but I needed that. I needed that time away to really understand how much I love basketball, and this is what I want, and understand that this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes you need that to have a little normality, to get your way. And people got to understand why Michael Jordan, as soon as he left a court, go play some golf to get your mind off, Yeah. So anyway, this was great. I would love to interview again. There's a lot more questions I would like to have as your podcast progresses, as you have more people on and their stories, like to dig into that a little more. But this was great. I appreciate your time. And definitely everybody check out the Zach Cummings The Journey podcast. Also, he gave everything to drop down where you need to get in touch if you need some training, some skills, some mentorship. So this is great. I'm Todd with iLuvBball, and this is great, and I would love to do this again.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you having me, man.
All right, no problem.
Dope. That was good.
All right.